Alright, what's going on everyone? Today we're going to be upgrading the Rebel Armory starter deck on a budget. We will not be spending a single rare, so if you want to upgrade these, you need to go to your starter deck tab here. You need to select the deck, and you need to go down here and hit clone, because these are not editable. You cannot change these, but it creates a clone in your My Decks tab here. And you can change this however you want and still have the original. Alright, so this is a Boros equipment deck. It has some equipment and some more equipment, and it has some equipment here and right here. And the payoffs would be things like Astor, which makes your equip cost cheaper. It goes and finds equipment. We have Nahiri, which costs less based on equipment and also finds more equipment. It's a Boros equipment deck. It is kind of burdened by some weaker pieces of equipment, like these two are pretty weak. It's also got some pretty medium payoffs, like this isn't that great in my opinion. I don't really like Rook that much. All he does is he soaks up equipment, but it's like it's I don't know, he's alright, but not my favorite. So let's just fix that. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to click here, or if you're in this layout, you're going to click up here, and we're going to change this to standard. There are some cool cards in here that are alchemy, but it's just hard to win in alchemy. And this isn't a tier 1 deck. It's not based on a tier 1 deck. So we're probably better off in standard. So we have a few cards we need to take out, but that's fine. So first off, the Kimba's Outfitter. It's okay. I mean, it's pretty good in alchemy, but we're not playing alchemy. So I want to replace this with Rabbit Battery. So what's cool about this, traditionally, the problem with equipment is you play a piece of equipment, but you don't like add anything to your board. So you just get pummeled by creatures. But this is a creature, but it actually still counts as an equipment for like affinity for equipment for Astor. He just says reveal an equipment. So we can actually get this creature. And we're going to have more payoffs too with this, by the way. You'll see in just a bit, but yeah, we'll get those in just to get this up to standard legality. So next, we have this very cool piece of equipment that is alchemy, and all I care about is getting equipment in the deck that has the 4 Mirrodin keyword. So this is, if you play the equipment, you get a 2/2, and then you attach the equipment to it. That's awesome, and I just want more of that. So we're going to take this out for a Barbed Batterfist, which is not that exciting. It's a 2 mana, gives the creature +1/-1, and has 4 Mirrodin. So it's basically like a 2 mana 3/1. Not exciting, but it's standard legal, and I just want to fill this deck with these 4 Mirrodin cards. I hit minus, not plus. Sorry, we're going up to 4. Next, we have the Hexgold Sledge. Once again, cool card, but it's alchemy. So we're going to take this out for a Citizen's Crowbar. So what's cool about this, once again, it's a 2 mana equipment that makes a token and then attaches itself to that token and then gives a +1/+1. So it's basically a 2 mana 2/2. That's great. Can also destroy artifacts and enchantments. But what we really care about is just equipment that brings creatures along with it. So we want 2 of these. Next, I just don't think this Blade Graft Aspirant is a great payoff. It's a 3 mana 2/3 menace. Equipment spells cost 1 less to cast. I mean, that's cool. Ideally, as you're going to see, we're going to be just jamming this full of cheaper equipment anyway. And then it also makes them cost less to activate, but only if you target the Blade Graft Aspirant. It's fine, it's just not great. And I want to replace this with Blade Hold War Whip, which is 3 mana. Once again, it brings a 2/2 along with it. It makes all your stuff cost less to activate, all your equipment, but it gives the equipped creature double strike. So that effectively makes this Rebel have 4 power. It's going to hit twice, right? And then we can equip this to big stuff, and we're going to have some very, very big things. So we're going to take 2 of these out for 2 of these. This is going to be very useful. Next, we have this Hurloon Battle Hymn. It's actually a pretty solid card, but it's 3 mana, deals 4 damage to a creature or planeswalker. That's fine. If you pay an extra white, it has basically lifelink. It gains 4. That's fine, but it's just not as good as Rebel Salvo, which deals 5 damage and often costs 1 mana. 1 mana, deal 5 damage to something. Can hit Shieldred, for example. It's pretty great. So I just want to take 1 of these out for 1 more of these. And this other one, I want to take out for an extra Baird. So this is very cool. It's a 2 mana 2/2. At the beginning of our end step, if we control a creature with power greater than its base power, we make a 1/1. So that's going to count for this, right? Like when we play this, it makes a 2/2, and then it equips itself to it and makes it a 3/1. So it's going to have 3 power when its base power is 2, which is going to trigger this. So all of our equipment, all of our 4 Mirrodin equipment, the ones that pump power, are going to help us just make a 1/1 every turn. And we usually use these to block and trade with. They're like block fodder, which is pretty great. Next, we have these planar disruptions, they're not great. They attach to something, an artifact, creature, or planeswalker, and then it can't attack or block or activate abilities. The problem is it's still on the battlefield, so it can still like say it's a Lord, or like a Vran, for example. Like say there's a Vran and you use this, they don't care about the activated abilities, they just care about the drain. So there's a lot of situations where this just isn't great, and I'd rather take this out for, you can probably guess, because we put it in like every single deck, Ossification. It's the most played removal spell in white. 2 mana, attaches to a land, exiles a creature or planeswalker until it leaves the battlefield. Technically can't target artifacts, which is fair. But, this is just very common, and we're going to use that. Next, I want to get a new payoff. So we have a couple of okay payoffs. Like, we have these awesome rare ones. Both of these are exceptional, but we can't add more of them because they're rare. But, we have this, which is okay. Makes our equipment cheaper. We have this, which is okay. The benefit here is it soaks up the equipment when things die, which is fine. But I want a slapper, right? We need some. A lot of our creatures are just kind of weak. This is a 2 mana 3/1. This is basically a 3 mana 2/2 a double strike. We have a 4 mana 4/2. Basically, we have these really weak creatures, but they're all equipment, and I want a big slapping equipment payoff. The idea would be one of these. I'd like to get a couple of these in. But since we can't use rares, we're going to instead add this. So this is a 7 mana 7/5 trampler. However, it has affinity for equipment, just like Nahiri. So if we have 4 pieces of equipment in play, it costs 3. It's a 3 mana 7/5 trampler, and it's very easy. As you can see, we have 2, 6, 7, 8, 12, 14, 17, 18 pieces of equipment. So it's very easy to, have at least 3, probably 4 in our entire deck. Oh yeah, I forgot to count this. We have this too. So yeah, it's pretty easy to get equipment in. And I just wanted to take out this because I don't think it's that great. And I want to take out Rook because I don't think he's that great. And I just want to add 2 of these. And ideally, these would just be Nahiri in a non-budget deck. But on a budget, this is uncommon. And it's a big slapping payoff for all these equipment we have. So lastly, I think our mana curve is very clunky. We have so many 4 drops and 5 and 5+ drops. It's very clunky. So just to make the mana curve a little better, I want to add these. It's a 3 mana, 4 Mirrodin equipment again. That's going to add another token. My only qualm with this is it boosts toughness, so it won't synergize with this because this only cares about boosting power. So that's a problem, but I just think we need to get more cheap stuff. We could potentially add this instead, but this also doesn't boost power. But I just want some cheaper stuff. So I just want to take out 1 of the Hex Gold Hover Wings. It's not that these are terrible. They kind of are. But I just want to get the mana curve down. So I want to take out 1 of each of those and add 2 of these. You could probably take both of these out as well for either this or this, just to get this curve a little bit lower, because I want to get equipment out fast so I can reduce the cost of this. But this works for now. And one final change I want to make is I think it's going to be okay to take out 1 mountain and add in another 1-drop here, 1 rabbit battery, just to get our equipment count a little bit higher. Our curve is much lower. It's lower than it looks because both of these have affinity for equipment. They usually end up costing, like something down here, right? So it's not as bad as it might look. So getting another piece of equipment to reduce the cost of these just kind of works out. So that's the deck. We do have lots of good rares. The 2 biggest ones are both in the deck, and that is these 2. Aster is great, 4 mana 4/4. Looks at the top 7, gets another piece of equipment. That's great. Reduces all of our equipment cost to 1. Would love to have 3 of these. Nahiri as well. 6 mana, but has affinity for equipment. Often costs like 2 or 3. And it's whenever an equipped creature attacks. So if we attack with, 3 of these 4 Mirrodin things, we get to exile the top 3. And any equipment we see, they cost 0. 0 mana. So this just goes crazy. And the pretty simple thing would be to just take these 2 out here. 2 Punishers for 2 Nahiris would just fix that problem. You could also probably take out Danitha for an Astor. That'd be pretty good, I would say. But yeah, these are our weak cards. We have other rares. I would say all of these are weak. Also, Kimbo, which is in here. This is also decent. It is 2 mana 2/2. Whenever a cat enters, we can attaching equipment to it, that doesn't matter too much. But it also gives equipped creatures +1/+1. That is very good with this 4 mirrored and stuff, right? Like, if we have this in play turn 2 and turn 3, we follow it up with this. It's a 3 mana 3/4. This becomes a 5 mana 5/5 flying haste, right? Which is very good. Hard to fit room into. We'd probably start cutting removal, honestly, or probably Baird. We'd probably cut Baird for Kembas, most likely. And another commonly played card would be Jor Kadeen. I need to turn lands off. Right here, it's a 2 mana 2/2 trample. When it attacks, it gets +X/+X, where X is the number of equipped creatures we control. And then if it gets +2/+0, basically, if it gets to 4 power or greater, it draws a card. Which is a pretty solid 2-drop. I would say you're probably choosing between these, like, you're probably taking out 3 Bairds for either Kembas or Jor Kadeens. You're taking out 2 Oxida finishers for 2 Nahiris, and you're probably taking out a Danitha for an Aster at the very least. But this is just phase 1 of the rares. Note, this is not in the deck, because we also have rare equipment we can add, which is what these would become. We have Lizard Blades. We'll talk about all of these. We have Lion Sash, and it's pretty common to see like a single copy of Eater of Virtue, which is here. So Lizard Blades is a 2 mana 1/1 with double strike. That's fantastic. Probably better than this, actually. And it can reconfigure, of course, so it can equip the stuff. And it counts as an equipment. It's basically a creature that you could get with Nahiris, just in case you need that. We have Lion Slash, which is a 2 mana 1/1. Can exile target card from a graveyard. If it's a permanent, it gets +1/+1, +1/+1 counter. And then when it reconfigures, the equipped creature gets +1/+1. So the great thing about this, works well with Baird, just because it automatically gets counters. It's also just a solid graveyard hate thing that you can play main board. You play like 1 or 2 copies, and maybe you get it against like a graveyard deck. That's pretty good. And Eater of Virtues gives the creature +2/+0. It doesn't enter with a creature of any kind. It's just a standard normal piece of equipment. But when it's equipped to a creature, whatever abilities that creature had get like imprinted on the sword. And all of these are just better than these 2 pieces of equipment. These are very fillery. They're very expensive. 4 mana. Like, I would rather have a 2 mana 1/1 double strike. So basically 2 power over a 4 mana 4/2 personally. I would be taking these out for basically any of these, and that's probably better. But yeah, that's our deck. It should be much more powerful. It's definitely got a lot less of the awkward. Like, the only thing I'm looking at that's staring me in the face that I hate is these pieces of equipment here. I was debating cutting these 2 for 2 more of these, just because it's more efficient. Like, I'm still on the fence about it. I'm very tempted. Also, like Citizen's Crowbar, I'd just rather have this, and it's very tempting to just cut these out for more of these 2-drop things. But it's something to consider if you're finding the deck clunky. But either way, it's much better than where we started. Do keep in mind that this is not a tier 1 deck. Most of the decks were sort of in the realm of sort of tier 1 decks, or at the very least meta decks. Even a non-budget, all-rare version of this deck, still not a tier 1 deck or a meta deck of any kind. It's a pretty casual deck, even when it's not being played on a budget. So that's something to keep in mind. But it is pretty fun. I've been playing this a little bit while building it and testing it. And yeah, it's a really fun deck to play. Might build a non-budget version to just play on the channel sometime in the future. So maybe look out for that. But in the meantime, I hope that's useful. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.